Most people book vacations for sun-soaked beaches or bustling cityscapes. But what if your next trip could take you somewhere utterly surreal and potentially deadly? We're talking caverns as vast as cathedrals, deserts with eternal flames, and lakes teeming with creatures you won't believe exist. Some of these places are straight up mesmerizing. Others, so cursed, toxic, or haunted that even the boldest adventurers think twice before stepping foot inside. Whether you're drawn to the bizarre, the eerie, or the just plain forbidden, these 15 mystical spots will challenge your sense of wonder and maybe even your sense of self-preservation. Curious? Well, let's explore. Just remember one thing: some doors are better left unopened. Number 15. Hill of Crosses, Lithuania. At first glance, the Hill of Crosses in northern Lithuania looks like something straight out of a Gothic fever dream. Tens of thousands of crosses, crucifixes, and rosaries stacked atop one another, swaying eerily in the wind. But this isn't just a macabre art installation. It's a symbol of defiance, faith, and resilience that has stood for centuries. People first started placing crosses here in the 14th century as a silent protest for Lithuanian independence. Then, after an 1831 rebellion, it became a memorial for fallen revolutionaries. Fast forward to the Soviet era, and the Hill of Crosses became even more rebellious. The Soviets bulldozed it 3 times, yet locals kept rebuilding. Today, over 100,000 crosses cover the hill, creating an overwhelming sight of faith and resistance. When the wind picks up, the metal and wood clash together like eerie wind chimes, reminding visitors that some beliefs refuse to be silenced. Number 14. Island of the Dolls, Mexico. It's one thing to be afraid of dolls, but it's another to step onto an island where hundreds of them stare at you with lifeless, decaying eyes. Nestled deep in the canals of Xochimilco, Mexico, the infamous Isla de las Muñecas, Island of the Dolls, is exactly what it sounds like. A place where dolls hang from trees, sit in boats, and litter the ground like discarded relics from a forgotten horror movie. The story behind it is just as unsettling. A man named Julian Santana Barrera once lived here alone until he discovered a drowned girl's body in the nearby waters. Shortly after, he found a doll floating by, and in a desperate attempt to appease the girl's spirit, he hung it from a tree. One doll turned into dozens, then hundreds. Over the years, the sun and rain have twisted their faces, blackened their plastic skin, and left them eerily watching every visitor who dares to step ashore. Number 13. Centralia, Pennsylvania. If there was ever a real-life silent hill, Centralia would be it. What was once a small but thriving coal town in Pennsylvania is now a ghost town, quite literally burning from beneath. It all started in 1962 when an underground coal vein mysteriously caught fire, and it never stopped. The labyrinth of old mining tunnels turned into a hellish inferno, spewing toxic smoke and creating sinkholes that swallowed entire streets. At first, residents brushed it off. Then, in 1979, a local gas station owner noticed his underground fuel was reaching 172 degrees Fahrenheit. A few years later, a 12-year-old boy nearly fell into a sinkhole that suddenly opened in his backyard, revealing the fire raging below. That was enough. People fled, the government shut it down, and Centralia became an abandoned, apocalyptic wasteland. Today, visitors can still walk the cracked and graffiti-covered Route 61, where steam hisses from underground vents. A grim reminder that this fire won't die for at least another 250 years. Number 12. Gomantong Caves, Malaysia. If you think you've got a strong stomach, Gomantong Caves will put that to the test. Sure, these Malaysian limestone caverns are stunning, with ceilings soaring over 300 feet high, but let's talk about the bat guano. Imagine walking into a cave and seeing the floor move. Not from an illusion, but from millions of cockroaches, scorpions, and giant centipedes feasting on thick layers of bat droppings. The stench is unbearable, the walls are slick with who knows what, and the ground, a living, crawling nightmare. And if you think the worst part is dodging bat excrement from the millions of winged creatures overhead, think again. The true horror comes when the cockroaches start crawling up your legs. For those who can stomach it, the reward is seeing the eerie, otherworldly beauty of the caves. Just don't slip, because whatever you land on is definitely alive. Number 11. The Door to Hell, Turkmenistan. What's more terrifying than standing at the edge of a fiery pit that's been burning for 50+ years, knowing that scientists accidentally created it and have no idea how to put it out? Welcome to Turkmenistan's Door to Hell, a gaping 230-foot-wide inferno in the middle of the Karakum Desert. Back in 1971, Soviet geologists were drilling for oil when they accidentally punctured a massive underground gas pocket, causing the ground to collapse. Fearing a methane disaster, they thought, "Hey, let's just set it on fire. It'll burn out in a few days." Well, that was over 5 decades ago, and it's still raging. Locals named it the Door to Hell, and honestly, it fits. The crater glows an unholy orange against the night sky, belching flames and heat that can be felt from hundreds of feet away. If there's an entrance to the underworld on Earth, this just might be it. Number 10. Snake Island, Brazil. About 90 miles off the coast of São Paulo, there's a place so dangerous that even the Brazilian Navy forbids visitors, and for good reason. Ilha de Queimada Grande, better known as Snake Island, is home to thousands of golden lancehead vipers, some of the most venomous snakes on the planet. Here's the terrifying part. There are up to 5 snakes per square meter. That means no matter where you stand, you're probably within striking distance of multiple vipers. Cut off from the mainland 11,000 years ago, these snakes evolved into elite killing machines. With no ground prey available, they learned to hunt birds in mid-air, developing venom that's 5 times more potent than their mainland cousins. So powerful it melts flesh on contact. That's not an exaggeration. Even trained professionals rarely step foot here, and the only humans allowed are scientists and the occasional maintenance crew for the island's lighthouse. But let's be real. Why would you even want to go? Number 9. Kawah Ijen Volcano, Indonesia. Kawah Ijen is as stunning as it is nightmarish. By day, this active volcano in East Java, Indonesia, looks like a scene from another planet. Thick sulfuric smoke spewing from the crater, a turquoise-blue acid lake shimmering below, and rugged landscapes carved by centuries of eruptions. But by night, that's when the real spectacle begins. Thanks to its insanely high sulfur content, the volcano literally glows blue at night. Flames can shoot up to 16 feet into the air, and liquid sulfur oozes down the slopes, looking like lava from some dystopian sci-fi movie. But while it's mesmerizing, it's also deadly. The air is so thick with sulfur dioxide that miners here must wear gas masks just to breathe. The nearby acidic lake is the most toxic body of water on Earth, with a pH of less than 0.3, strong enough to dissolve metal. Beautiful? Absolutely. A place you'd want to linger? Not unless you enjoy inhaling toxic fumes. Now, let's head over to Number 8. Aokigahara Forest, Japan. At the foot of Mount Fuji, you'll find one of the most breathtaking forests in Japan. Towering trees, lush greenery, and a quiet so profound it feels almost otherworldly. But Aokigahara, known as Suicide Forest, carries a tragic and eerie reputation that makes it one of the most infamous places on Earth. For decades, people have come here to take their own lives, making it the second most common suicide site in the world, after San Francisco's Golden Gate Bridge. Some believe the forest is haunted by yurei, spirits from Japanese folklore. Others point to its dense maze-like trees, which block out sound and distort GPS signals, making it disturbingly easy to get lost. Visitors have reported finding discarded belongings, nooses, and heartbreaking farewell notes along the trails. Some hikers even tie ribbons to trees so they can find their way back out. The silence in Aokigahara is unnerving. It's not just quiet, it's unsettlingly still. Number 7. Mount Huashan, China. If you've ever seen a video of daredevil hikers shuffling across rickety wooden planks bolted to a sheer cliff face, you were probably looking at Mount Huashan, often called the most dangerous hike in the world. This mountain in central China is famous for its plank walk, a 12-inch wide wooden path thousands of feet above the ground, with nothing but an old chain to hold on to. One misstep, you're gone. But the danger isn't just from the planks. Some sections require you to climb near vertical stone steps with only rusty chains for support. The reward? A stunning Taoist temple at the summit, shrouded in mist and legend. While some thrill-seekers claim the experience is worth the heart-pounding terror, others wisely opt for the cable car ride instead. There are no official death statistics. China likes to keep those under wraps. But let's just say, you wouldn't be the first to lose your footing. Number 6. Ongimal Jellyfish Lake, Palau. At first glance, jumping into a lake filled with millions of jellyfish sounds like a horrible idea. But Ongimal or Jellyfish Lake, is one of the most surreal places on Earth. A safe haven where these alien-like creatures drift gracefully through the water. Located on Isle Malk Island in Palau, this unique marine lake is home to two types of jellyfish, golden jellies and moon jellies. And here's the wild part, they don't sting. Cut off from predators for thousands of years, these jellies lost their ability to harm humans, making it one of the only places in the world where you can safely swim through a literal swarm of them. Every day, the jellies follow the sun across the lake, creating a mesmerizing, dreamlike experience for snorkelers. It's eerie, it's magical, and it's probably the only time you'll ever want to be surrounded by thousands of jellyfish. Number 5. The Devil's Sea, Japan. You've heard of the Bermuda Triangle, but did you know Japan has its own version? Known as the Devil's Sea, this eerie stretch of the Pacific near Miyake Island has a reputation that sends chills down the spines of fishermen, pilots, and scientists alike. The Japanese have long called it Manumi, or the Dangerous Sea, and for good reason. Ships, planes, and even submarines have vanished here without explanation. Some stories are almost too bizarre to believe. In 1980, a ship twice the size of the Titanic disappeared without a trace. During World War II, more than 20 submarines mysteriously went missing in this region. Between 1952 and 1954 alone, Japan lost 5 military vessels here. Paranormal theorists blame electromagnetic anomalies that supposedly disrupt navigation systems, while scientists point to underwater methane hydrate eruptions, which under the right conditions can literally swallow ships whole. Whatever the cause, one thing's for sure. This isn't a place you want to sail through on a dark, stormy night. Number 4. The Cold Pole, Verkhoyansk, Siberia. If you think winter is brutal where you live, try spending a night in Verkhoyansk, Russia, the place where thermometers exist just to break. Located deep in Siberia, this frozen wasteland regularly hits minus 90 degrees Fahrenheit, making it one of the coldest inhabited places on Earth. If that sounds unbearable, imagine surviving there for centuries, because people actually do. Founded in 1638 as a fortress, Verkhoyansk later became a forced exile destination for political prisoners under the Russian Tsars and Soviet rule. There's nearly no sunlight in winter, and for 9 months of the year, the Yana River is frozen solid. And yet, about 1,500 incredibly resilient people still call this icy outpost home. The town has bizarre bragging rights. People travel here just to see how long they can endure the bitter cold. If you ever visit, prepare for the worst. Number 3. Skellig Michael, Ireland. Skellig Michael looks like something out of a medieval fantasy novel, which is probably why Star Wars The Force Awakens used it as Luke Skywalker's hideaway. But don't let the cinematic beauty fool you. Getting here is no easy feat. Your first challenge? A brutal boat ride across some of the roughest waters in the North Atlantic. If the waves don't get you, the seasickness probably will. But the real adventure begins when you arrive, because the only way up is climbing 600 uneven, crumbling stone steps that have been around since the 6th century. There are no handrails, no safety ropes, and definitely no second chances if you misstep. Landslides, rogue waves, and violent weather make this UNESCO site as deadly as it is breathtaking. The Irish government strictly limits visitors, so even if you're ready for the challenge, you might not make the list. But if you do, prepare for one of the most unforgettable and dangerous views on Earth. Number 2. Danakil Desert, Ethiopia. Forget everything you know about hot weather. The Danakil Desert in Ethiopia isn't just the hottest inhabited place on Earth, it looks like it belongs on Mars. Towering volcanoes, boiling sulfur lakes, and neon-colored acid pools make this landscape look alien. But as mesmerizing as it is, it's also one of the most inhospitable places you can imagine. Temperatures regularly soar above 120 degrees Fahrenheit, and the toxic fumes from the hydrothermal vents can literally melt your lungs if you get too close. And yet, against all odds, people live here. The Afar people have been mining salt from the desert's crust for generations, enduring conditions most of us wouldn't survive for an hour. Even experienced travelers and scientists visit with extreme caution because in the Danakil, nature doesn't just try to kill you, it practically dares you to survive. Number 1. The ephemeral isles, the Maldives. The Maldives may look like a picture-perfect paradise, but beneath those dreamy beaches lies a ticking time bomb. This stunning archipelago, made up of 1,190 coral islands, is one of the most vulnerable places on Earth to climate change. The problem? The highest point in the entire country is just 6 feet above sea level. That means if sea levels keep rising, the Maldives could disappear entirely within the next century. Former President Mohammed Nasheed even proposed buying land in other countries as a backup plan, because at some point, the entire nation might have to relocate. In 2004, a devastating tsunami swept over the islands, displacing nearly a third of the population. And even on calm days, king tides flood streets, homes, and airports. For now, the Maldives remains a bucket list destination, but every passing year brings it closer to becoming a real-life Atlantis. If you have enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content like this. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you pretty soon.